Hello friends, welcome to Pathshala. I am Shagun Sharma, Assistant Professor in Political Science in Government College for Girls, Sector 42, Chandigarh. The paper is Foreign Policy of India and the module is India-Pakistan Relations. India and Pakistan have always been involved in disputes. Despite having a shared common history, shared colonial masters, and a common historical background, both the countries could not begin their friendship, and ever since their formation, they have been involved in different disputes. The first and foremost among them is the Kashmir dispute. Kashmir is now a political problem between both the countries, and if this dispute is not resolved, India and Pakistan cannot maintain good relations. Moreover, both the countries are also involved in dispute regarding the share of river waters. However, both the countries have continuously been in a phase of Cold War, and the periods of peace and detente have been very much less. This module will apprise the readers with the complexities of India-Pakistan relations. Since their independence, both the nations are trapped in the vicious circle of competition, conflict and war. The period of peace between them has been only for a temporary phase and full of suspicion and doubts. This module will inquire the reasons responsible for their strained relations. Various stages of their relations have been discussed in it. All the treaties and agreements signed by both the countries have also been discussed. Various stages of relations. The situation of their relation can be evaluated properly only after the in-depth analysis of their relations since 1947. This analysis can be understood through the changes under 5 stages, which are as follows: partition and initial separation, strained relations, era of detente, era of turmoil, new beginning but tragic end, and new initiatives but status quo. Partition and initial separation. Generally, India and Pakistan should have been friends, as both got independence from British Empire at the same time. But this did not happen. During the partition, the process of escaping of Muslims from India to Pakistan and coming of Hindus and Sikhs from Pakistan caused the massacre, which led to the feeling of hatred and friction between both the countries. There were so many important issues related to partition which were still unresolved. The approach both adopted in the early years to solve these disputes caused the conflict between them rather than friendship. The following were the main reasons responsible for bitter relations: contemporary problems caused by partition, taking care of minorities, problems of water distribution of Indus River, boundary disputes and incidents on boundaries, dispute regarding the property of displaced, Kashmir dispute. 4 contemporary problems emerged out of partition between India and Pakistan have been responsible for tension in relations of both in the early years. These disputed issues were division of boundaries of Punjab and Bengal, division of army, division of civil services, and government property and problems of debt. Though most of these disputes were solved in some early years, but the impact of mutual bitterness during this period is clearly visible on the relations of both. As a result of mutual suspicion, both went on the path of separation rather than cooperation. The second issue associated with partition was related to taking care of minorities. An agreement was signed by Nehru and Liaquat Ali on 8th April 1950 to solve this problem. As a result, the severity of problem decreased. But this problem persisted even in later years up to some extent. The main problem associated with partition was regarding the distribution of water of Indus River and its tributaries. The first dispute in this regard erupted on 1st April 1948 when India stopped the water flowing to the Pakistan for not paying the amount of water charges to the Indian province of Punjab. Pakistan alleged that India is not giving the water in proper quantity. On the other hand, India alleged that Pakistan is not searching for alternative sources for the development of its province in Punjab. In this context, World Bank accepted to mediate on 5th February 1954 and presented a detailed plan for this region. This plan was accepted by both the countries after some amendments on 19 September 1960. Hence, this problem was solved in 12 years with the satisfaction of both countries. Boundary dispute has been another important issue caused by partition. In West, the boundaries of both were 1503 miles long. In East, the length of boundary was 2481 miles. Hence, a long time was expected to demarcate these boundaries. That's why, time to time, small incidents often took place for the actual lines of boundaries. The matter of dispute erupted by the demand of 3500 square kilometers of this total region raised by Pakistan in its favor. It couldn't be solved soon. This matter was solved after the 2 decades through the UN arbitration on 19 February 1968. Accordingly, the region of 350 square miles was given to Pakistan. The most important and disputed issue between both the countries is Kashmir, which is still a cause of hatred and detestation between the both. Since then, many efforts have been made by both the countries in this direction to solve the dispute, but Kashmir dispute has become a permanent hurdle in the improvement of relations of both the countries. Followings have been the features of their relations in this stage. Both lacked cooperative relations. The relations of both have been full of sourness, suspicion, and mistrust, and sometimes reached to the point of fight or conflict. As a result of legacy of partition, both have adopted secularism and religious fanaticism in their internal systems. This process remained limited not only to their internal level, but emerged as the determining factors of their foreign policies. To compensate the deficiencies caused by the above reasons, both have adopted contrary foreign policies. They became not only antagonists to each other, but trapped into the politics of Cold War also. Both were pressurized to spend unnecessarily on defense resources due to the bilateral and international competition. In this way, it is clear that the beginning of relations of both the countries was not good but was based on the feelings of hatred, as a result of which both adopted the contrary foreign and domestic policies. Consequently, the gap between the two kept on increasing, and there always remained the lack of possibilities of cooperation. Strained relations. The period of Indo-Pak relations from 1955 to 1971 has not only been very sensitive, but can also be called the final point of conflict. As a result, both fought 2 severe wars with each other. The followings were the reasons of development of fissure between the two. The first cause of conflicted relations between the two was acquiring of weapons and getting membership of various military organizations by Pakistan. The second reason is the policies and approaches of Pakistan towards China. During this period, 5,180 square kilometer area of Pak-occupied Kashmir was handed over to China by Pakistan through an agreement in 1963. Indo-Pak War of 1965 was the third main reason of hatred relations between the two. The defeat of India by China in 1962 has been taken as a weakness by Pakistan. One more reason of tension between the relations of both has been the civil war in Pakistan and Indo-Soviet friendship. Beside this, the situation of civil war erupted in East Pakistan due to its internal incident. India recognized Bangladesh as an independent nation on 6th December. Consequently, Pakistan terminated its all diplomatic relations with India. As a result, with the process of formation of Bangladesh, an era of conflicted relations between both reached to climax. This war caused the basic changes in India's foreign policy. These changes were as follows. As a result of this war, India's foreign policy kept on increasing closer to Soviet Union and gaps increased in relations with America. This war caused the basic change in China's position. Pak, China, America triangle also declined. This war established the India's image at least as a regional power. Simultaneously, it paved the way for India to play a role in world politics. Era of Detente. Important changes took place in Indo-Pak relations after the War of 1971. Accordingly, both the countries tried to improve their relations in 1970s on the real grounds. This change in Indian context was its emerging strong position in South Asia. Besides, it was the increase in India's international credibility and recognition of its strategic capability also. It also demonstrates the Indian diplomacy, particularly supremacy and competence of its leadership. India stressed on improving the relations as per its long-standing policy to the establishment of regional and international peace. Keeping in view the above changed circumstances, Bhutto took initiative to talk with India. Consequently, Bhutto and Indira Gandhi signed Shimla Agreement on 3rd July 1972, through which a new chapter began between both the countries. Era of turmoil. The period of 1980 to 1991 has been of turmoil in relations of both the countries. The interference of Soviet Union in Afghanistan not only ignited the era of new Cold War, but also caused the birth of new equations in the relations of South Asian nations. The relations of both got tense again. Following were the reasons responsible for bitter relations of both the countries in this changed internal and international environment. India did not oppose openly the intervention of Soviet Union in Afghanistan. On the other side, the relations of Pakistan and America continued to grow. Increased military expenditure and weapons by both the countries. Acquiring the nuclear capability by both the countries also have been a cause of discord between the two in this decade. Another issue associated with the nuclear capability has been the acquisition of missiles by both. The dispute of Siachen Glacier has also been an important reason of tension between the two. India and Pakistan also have differences on the role of superpowers in Indian Ocean. However, both support the UN Declaration of 1971 on India-Ocean Peace Zone, but Pakistan does not oppose the establishment of military bases by America in this region. Contrary to this, India is against to any kind of military activity in this region. Pakistani support to terrorists in Punjab and Kashmir has also been an important reason of differences between the two. In 1987, the issue of dispute between the two was the annual military exercise conducted by both the countries. Brass tacks exercise caused the tension to Pakistan and Zarb-e-Momin to India. Keeping in view the preparations of brass tacks, some scholars termed it as Fourth War. Due to above reasons, the gaps instead of closeness increased between both the countries in this decade. Beside this, Kashmir issue was also raised by Pakistan at international fora time to time. But it doesn't mean that both were inspired for war. Time to time, some efforts were made to develop the confidence between the two. The following were the confidence building measures on which both the countries agreed in this period. Both countries agreed in December 1988 not to attack on nuclear installations of each other. Both countries agreed on 6th April 1991 to provide prior information about their military exercises to be conducted. Both countries agreed to establish hotlines between the director generals of their countries responsible to military action and to stop the encounters on the basis of wrong estimation. Both countries agreed on 6th April 1991 to let the military aircrafts of each other to travel on special air routes. They also agreed in August 1992 to let military aircrafts of each other to take off and travel. Both countries agreed on the ban of using the chemical weapons during war. Beside this, there were some other issues also on which the dialogue continued but couldn't be culminated into agreement. In this way, some progress is visible towards increasing the trust between both the countries. However, beside the above military and non-military confidence building measures, some economic commissions were also formed through which the list of commodities for import and export between the two was finalized. 5 nuclear tests by India under Pokhran II and on 11th and 13th May 1998 and nuclear test by Pakistan on 30th May 1998 witnessed a new turn in the relations of both the countries. Acquisition of nuclear power status by both the countries encouraged the nuclear proliferation and nuclear arms race in South Asia. Simultaneously, as a result of this process, a positive change was also witnessed in their relations. This positive change can be called a new beginning in their relations. After the test of 1998, both the countries initiated the talks with each other, but no concrete result came out. New beginning but tragic end. Prime Minister Vajpayee's Lahore visit by bus on 20th February 1999 added a new dimension in the relations of both countries. Followings were the reason responsible for this changing diplomacy between both the countries. Regarding talks on nuclear non-proliferation, India was reduced to a peripheral nation. Hence, it wanted to express its nuclear non-proliferation policy in a more clear way through new efforts. More and more pressure was increasing on both the countries to sign comprehensive test ban treaty on becoming the nuclear power states after the test of May 1998. It was necessary for both to control their nuclear capability. Hence, confidence building measures were necessary for both. The pressure of America was also increasing on both countries after nuclear tests. The visit of American Deputy Secretary of State Strobe Talbot to both the countries was seen in this context. Internal situation of both the countries was also responsible for this up to some extent. Above all, pressures were temporary, but it was a tough challenge for both countries to strengthen their economy in post-Cold War period. As a result, change in their relations was essential. The process of nuclear tests has fastened it and it developed rapidly. Three main documents, Memorandum of Understanding, Joint Statement and Lahore Declaration were signed during the two-day visit of Prime Minister Vajpayee to Pakistan. The visit by Vajpayee was not important symbolically only, but it can be considered as a new beginning between both the countries. Followings were the outcomes of this visit regarding the relations of both the countries. This visit developed the level of dialogue between the both. Now both the countries will be able to talk on three levels: Prime Minister, Foreign Minister and senior government officials, along with the dialogue on political levels. The agenda was decided very comprehensively. Hence, both are becoming capable for having integrated and composite dialogue on the issues like security, nuclear deterrence, disarmament, WTO, information technology, etc. Due to the scope of trade dialogue, now both can advance the process of improving the relations by selecting some of the subjects through mutual consent. Mutual trust will increase through dialogue between the both. Both demonstrated the positive attitude by accepting the weakness and faults openly, which will be helpful in dialogue. Both have denied the possibilities of external interference by demonstrating the faith in Shimla Agreement. External powers have received a signal through this initiative of both the countries that they are capable of solving their disputes mutually. Hence, these efforts by both will provide a base for cordial relations by improving their relations. Kargil War and again strained relations. Before the results of Lahore Declaration came, Pakistan turned the mutual relations again in hatred by opening the Kargil War on India. This war terminated the 3-month-old peace process. Lahore sentiment and bus diplomacy died due to this. This proved another Siachen between the two. In many respects, this war was equal to the wars of 1947 and 1971. Somehow, war has affected the relations of both the countries in a broad way. Among them, main points are as follows. The illusion washed away that through this war, the nuclear capability will play the role of prevention. The long-term impacts of Lahore sentiment finished. It means Lahore sentiment got terminated. The serious danger of extremism established in the near neighborhood. Through the coordination of Mujahideen, Taliban and many Islamic organizations by Pakistan, this crisis, being limited not to the boundaries of both countries only, became the most serious by associating itself with Western and Central Asian republics. Now, the possibilities of internationalization of Indo-Pak disputes and outside interference in this region increased. This war caused an end to all the initiatives to increase confidence-building measures established in Indo-Pak relations from last some years. Agra Summit. In 2001, due to many reasons, the round of talks started again between both the countries from Agra summit on 14th to 16th July 2001. But due to the adamant attitude of both the countries on their issues, made this summit total failure and the process of talks between the two blocked. Operation Parakram. After that, Indian Parliament was attacked on 13th December 2001 by the terrorists of Pakistan-based two important terrorist organizations, Lashkar-e-Toiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. Keeping in view the seriousness of this attack, Indian Prime Minister Vajpayee declared the final war. In this way, India started its Operation Parakram in December 2001 with the deputation of forces on the border. This operation was an example of retaliated diplomacy by India against Pakistan. Initially, there was an idea to attack the terrorist training camps across the border, but India did not go for war even after the fixation of dates twice and for starting the war. This program was more a political diplomatic activity through which it was to accept the efforts taken by international community in this direction, along with mounting the pressure on Pakistani government. As far as question of impact of this program was concerned, no special influence was seen on Pakistan. Pakistan tested 3 missiles within 4 days in May 2002, perhaps only for this reason. In this way, the Operation Parakram of India failed without any results. A new initiative but status quo. Vajpayee took a new initiative on 18th April 2003 during his Srinagar visit by extending the hand of friendship towards Pakistan. Beside this, parliamentary delegations of both countries also visited each other at the level of track 2 diplomacy to develop the relations among the people. Under these initiatives, both the countries declared many steps to increase the confidence building measures to each other, and some steps were also taken actually in this regard. In the coming time, both the countries reached on consent to take steps to increase both strategic and non-strategic confidence. On the basis of these, some positive decisions or rounds of talks began on ceasefire and military communication, nuclear missile management, solution of disputed issues, economic issues, people-to-people contact, disaster management and means of control on terrorism, etc. But the terrorist incident of Bombay on 26 November 2008 derailed the relations of both countries again. Mutual relations between both again died for not stopping the terrorist activities by Pakistan and for not handing over the culprits associated with this crime to India or not punishing them on their own. To conclude this module of India-Pakistan relations, we can say that it is very important and crucial for the world peace that both the countries maintain their friendship and they forget their disputes. The issue of terrorism has been encircling both the countries. So, first and foremost objective among the foreign policy of the countries, of both the countries, should be the fight against terrorism. Kashmir issue is one such matter which needs to be taken into consideration when the foreign policy of both the countries are concerned. Moreover, the economic ties between both the countries will help in improving the relations. People-to-people contact and mutual bilateral relations will also help between the both countries.